this is going to be an extremely important market open this week and week. We have CPI at 7.5% year over year. We have core CPI at 6%. We have maybe war in Ukraine, and we have a monetary policy emergency meeting tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. New York time. We also have now very strong Chinese numbers coming out for January. Are we now going to see some pickup in China? Well, that's going to lead to what? Aussie strength, New Zealand strength. But nothing will conquer the need for pricing in what the war in Ukraine is going to do. So when we are looking at the markets this week, I have a sell here at that candle over there, and it's probably up here. I can't remember. It's 1440 give or take, and I think it's like 100 pips in profit or so. So it's good, 95. So what is going to happen tomorrow? Tomorrow on the open, I don't think that's going to be the price tomorrow. I don't think that's going to be the price. 13.47 we have seen and scaling up on the war over the weekend. But there is no war, even though there has been explosions in Ukraine, even though there has been shootings and whatever. That's not war. That's just the pre-war. So we don't have a war at the moment. They are still doing the diplomatic way. So what does that mean? Once they come to an agreement, when there's rumors of an agreement about a diplomatic solution, dollar is going to weaken again. So right now, risk, volatility is going to go higher. So when you're coming into this week, whatever you know from before, you have to take away technical analysis, you have to take away fundamental analysis, you have to go into psychology, fear, what do we do right now, what do we know right now, and what is going to be the next move by either party based upon the information we have right now. The Ukrainian Prime Minister, President, whatever that guy is called, he said that there is no war yet. We are under control. And as more reports comes in, there is going to be propaganda. So whatever you do, whatever side you look at, be neutral, be non-particle, and only be analytical as to what will these lead to in the market. Doesn't matter who is going to be right, who's going to be wrong. What will the market reaction be? That's what's going to bother you. So if we then have a solution tomorrow, that's going to lead to dollar going back up and euro will go back up. But then if you have an emergency rate hike tomorrow by the Fed of about up to 50 basis points, that's going to lead to dollar strength. So there's a lot of big players this week, a lot of big numbers, a lot of big movers. So just be aware of what is going to happen. So where does that dollar strength comes from? It will lead to Aussie weakness. It would lead to CAD weakness. It would lead to pound weakness. It will lead to New Zealand weakness. It will lead to stock market weakness. It will lead to dollar strength and yen strength and gold strength. So where will you hide? You need to write this down in your book. As to war, I've talked about war before. What do we do in a war? Okay, there's a lot of questions to be asked. Who? Where? What's the implications? Powers is involved? How is it going to affect the flow of money? How is it going to affect the flow of goods? The economy? It's in Europe. It's in NATO. It's Russia. It's big. On the other side, China. I saw something about, is China also having is there going to be a two-front against America now, that there's going to be like an attack? Was it Taiwan they're fighting about over America? Like over there in the Chinese Ocean is called over there. So what's going on then? Well, a lot. So whatever you do, news, Twitter, alert on, by all means. Right now it's going to be milliseconds response time as to what is going to happen next. No, as in what is going to be what you see on the alert is going to be that way. That's how you have to respond. So if there's going to be 1 week, you either have to be totally alert or not at the market at all. This might be the week. Okay? And I'm going to tell you to do either side of it. but it's going to be volatility either way. So if we then go into, for example, the CRT reports, how are we placed before all this? Mostly short Aussie, very short Aussie. We have way more buyers coming into pound, but that was also because of the Bank of England situation. And then we have the Canadian, more buyers, more sellers coming in here as well. Both of them are adding more, but Europe are adding more longs. What has happened to Europe lately? Nothing. Other than that's the situation, okay? That's where all the buys are coming in. So right now, that's old news. What ECB did there is old news. Are we going back down there? Oh, yeah. So let's go into the market. Dollar. We have bottom. We have bottom. We have a higher high. Can this one fall now? Yes. Down there? Yes. I don't know where we're going to open. How high? I think, like, if we're going to gap, it's going to be this weekend. And it's probably going to be like 50 pips. So if we gap 50 pips, where is that, you might ask? That is above the daily target, but it is, it is around the target for the week. Just bear that in mind, okay? This green box here is my target. That's around 96.50. So we are at close price of 96. So if you open up at 96.50, that is going to lead to a very interesting situation. Because when we are in war, when we have information that is not known to the market, and we gap up or go up very fast to a target of the week, and all of a sudden the situation resolves, that is a very likely scenario. So even though we have much upside this week, don't be foolish. Don't be foolish. So Aussie, bearish or bullish? That was CPI. That was the Americans saying that they are open for all options just before market close on Friday. So for this week, if you're thinking Aussie weakness, just say that you're thinking that way. Okay, cool. Then 70 and 69 and 68. Straightforward. Hold prices, hold prices, hold prices. Now, the next part is, how are you going to trade it? I would say, be aware of your environment. It is high risk. So if you gap open tomorrow, are you going to wait for a pullback? Are you going to wait for, or are you just going to let it go? So when you have a market that just does that, it just falls. Are you going to sell in the middle of it? And if you sell that bottom, are you going to catch the bottom? So my point is, we still need to, on all the things we do, still going to lead resistance. If it's 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour, whatever that is. So if you have a new low, great, pull back, down again, down to those prices of 70, 69, 68. It depends on how bad it's going to go, okay? Euro. We have now a lower low. We now have resistance. We now have another theory by Mr. Abbas. He says that if it comes up to 115, which is around here, he will sell it again. And I can agree to that plan if you are in my Telegram group. But I would also say that doesn't sound great, right? If you have market pricing in CPI, market pricing in war, and then all of a sudden we're back up there again, then I would say the war is over, and we might be negatively surprised by the Fed, and that's not a good thing for dollar bullishness. So when we are going into EURUSD here, I would say that I would play this as resistance, and I would play 1250 and 1110 and 11 and 111. So 111, 110 are my targets. It says going to be today, tomorrow it's going to be in 1 day, probably not, but just be aware of that. Are we going to see 200 pip moves? Are we going to see 300 pip move in a couple of minutes or a couple of hours? I do not think so. I don't think we are that way. But as I already have a sell here, I'm all good. I don't need to chase the market, so don't chase the market you either. So as we go lower, we follow it. And when we are wrong, we get out. Okay? That is kind of situation. And just because market goes a bit up doesn't necessarily mean it is stopped moving lower. Has it reached target of 1250 by tomorrow evening? I will probably get out of some of my trades. Stop losses is going now up to 100 pips for me. I am going to reduce my lot size in half. I am now going to adapt to the market situation if I decide to sell. Okay, cool. Pound. Nothing is here that is necessary to be here. So, cool. What is happening? Range. Range. Nothing. So, until we break the demand zone here, demand zone, or the support zone, or whatever you guys call it over there, I will wait. So, this one is an X for me. How far can it go? I would say 134.5 and 134 are my targets. My stop losses are going to be 100 pips. Yeah, so I'm probably not my first target here, my first choice, but I would love if it fell. So we shall see all on the open. New Zealand dollar, fantastic trade plan. Look at that on Friday when we were in Trader Nick. Do you remember that day? That was a good day because that was around here. We were there. And then I was like, well, that's kind of my trade plans. Aussie. I was looking at Aussie, Euro, and New Zealand. And then what happened next? I don't know. So, what's the next plan, mate? The next plan is to go down to 65.50. So, if there's going to be a small pullback on New Zealand dollar, that would be lovely. But I would also just imagine that there's going to be, as plan A, market gap. 2, if it doesn't, if it goes a bit up, I will take that as a good sell opportunity for tomorrow. Pound yen. Again, fantastic. Back to support. Not really a new lower low, but definitely if it comes back up again, lovely to sell yet again. So that's an aggressive entry. That's an aggressive trade. We haven't really reversed yet, so it's really aggressive. So this is actually the buy zone for next week. And if you believe that the war is going to get over, nothing is going to happen, then yes, this is definitely to the upside for you. But for me, 157 down to 154. If I don't get 157 and I will just continue falling, I will be on the small time frames trying to catch it. USD CAD, I think this is great. 127 to the upside, up to 128. And when we look at oil, and I just, it's gonna be, just remember $100. I don't know when I said $100, but we are extremely close, okay? So, first of all, 1 month. What's the price for this month? It is 95 and 98. I honestly believe we're gonna have a top at 98. If that happens, that's a different case. But I think if it does go up there, I think the likeliness of the market being exhausted and then fall back down again around 98, 100 is going to be so massive, I wouldn't even love to buy it. So volatility on oil is going to be high next week. Protect yourself. Protect yourself. Protect yourself. Nat gas, on the other hand, is another part of this deal because Russia supplies Europe with natural gas, and it is in Germany is 30% of the production. So this is really important. Okay, this one might go higher. Might. I'm not saying it will. I'm saying might go higher. Gold, another one that just went straight to take profit for the month. Are you going to be a buyer of gold now? Absolutely not. This is not the time to do it. Okay, so just be aware of gold. I was wrong. I didn't see that one happening. I was wrong. Sorry, but this is not the time and place to be gambling on gold, okay? Nasdaq, S&P 500, going lower, breaking through my lows. I will wait for it to return again. Nasdaq, the same thing again, waiting for it to return back up again. Have I been stopped out? Have I been stopped out here? Yes, I have. Does that matter? Bother me? Not at all. I'm only waiting for it to return higher. So if it does fall 100 pips, 10%, 2%, 5%, rises, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm going to care about my kids in 20 years. Not today. Today is not today. And then, yeah, you stick out what it did. So I think that what you're going to do this week is to follow my lives, subscribe, and come to my live at 30 minutes before New York Open around 2 p.m. my time, or around 8 a.m. New York time. And we're going to have a blast, we're going to have a laugh, and we're going to see what kind of pips we can make. Okay? Boom. Boom!